Welcome back to Priscilla Presley and All of Her Lovers Before Elvis. This is part 6. This is, of course, a double shot of Priscilla Presley on the phone talking to Elvis. So, as you guys know, just to recap, the first 5 parts mainly talk about Priscilla Presley and Currie Grant. That's C-U-R-R-I-E Grant, who was a friend of Elvis Presley's and introduced Priscilla Presley, the one that was responsible, and of course claimed that they were lovers in order for Priscilla Presley to meet Elvis. And of course he passed the voice stress analyzer test 100%. Priscilla Presley failed it, flunked it. Didn't get anything right except for one thing about how Currie introduced himself as Captain Marvel or something like that. I don't really know. That picture there is Priscilla Presley and Ron Tapp, one of her lovers that we're going to talk about. So here is some more from the book. Unbeknownst to Elvis, Priscilla had already found a surrogate for him in Wiesbaden, a punk rebel who embroiled everything Elvis Presley, the rock and roll renegade, had seemed to be but was not. Tom Stewart, a sophomore. So that's where we're going to focus a bit Arnold on this video that Priscilla had been attracted to during her last year at Del Valle. Dark, slicked back hair, black leather jacket, a facsimile, in essence, of Elvis. Former classmates spoke of Tommy in the hushed, reverential tones reserved for the near-mythic. Nouns and adjectives like wild, bad boy, maverick, James Dean spilled out of their mouths. That's poetic bull. He wasn't a moody James Dean, countered Tom Muldoon, who ran around with Tommy in Wiesbaden. He smoked, he drank. He was a damn good athlete, Golden Gloves champion, and not afraid to let people know he was a sort of a dangerous guy. He used to get into fights. Stewart was not a big guy, but he was a tough guy. He was a guy who was on the fringe, not in the mainstream, and he certainly had the intimidation factor. People were careful around him. So this is a guy that Priscilla Presley dated a lot in high school. This isn't Tom Stewart saying it. This is everybody at that high school that was interviewed for this, including people that were close to Priscilla. So this isn't a made-up guy. In truth, Tom Stewart was an enigma. No one seemed to recall if he had any siblings, what his father did, which girls he dated other than Priscilla. He was a loner who seemed to disappear after graduation. It was rumored that he was killed in a knife fight on a beach in New Jersey a year after he left Germany. Like Priscilla's perceived history, this was a myth. Above all, Tommy Stewart, Elvis's replacement in Priscilla's life, was sexual. Joe Delahunt, who was a member of the same gang, goes on to say, the Spartans, placed Tommy in the sexually progressive category. He used to frequent a street in Wiesbaden where prostitution was legal, recalled Tom Muldoon, another Spartan. Yeah, of course he had sex anytime he went down to Mainstrasse, whatever, and had sex. The fact that sweet Priscilla Boulou, whatever her name is, would gravitate to Tom Stewart demonstrated the law that opposites attract. It was indicative, too, of the dark, dangerous side of Priscilla. Priscilla Presley, so that's a good little keyword right there. Dark, dangerous types. I'll tell you what offered Al Corey, whose family arrived in Germany shortly after Elvis left. She and Tommy Stewart would leave after school, and God knows where they went. She would wait for Tommy after soccer practice, and he wouldn't even get cleaned up. He'd go with her to get cleaned up. The relationship, according to several classmates, had begun even before Elvis returned to the States. Fantasies of Elvis. On a day-to-day basis, she was embroiled in a real romance with Tom Stewart. She wasn't pining at all, according to Al Corey, who became friends with her. Not at all. She wore Tom's class ring around her neck. Tommy was the only one she was hanging around with. Those two were it. Every break, every recess, every lunch break. You couldn't put a piece of paper between them. Al recalled that Priscilla's parents tried to prevent her from seeing Tom, but she would sneak out of the house to meet him. Her dad screamed about her seeing Tommy, and Priscilla just rebelled, period. That's the complete opposite of what Priscilla said with that. She just dated guys to placate her parents, so they wouldn't think she was so lost in Elvis Presley that she didn't have a life. Basically, this whole book says that Paul Boulou, her dad, stepdad, and Anne were adamant that she was going to marry Elvis. And so, even though she said she dated sparingly in high school just to please her parents, that's not true. Her parents didn't want her dating anybody but Elvis. And of course, once again, she rebelled. How was she to know that Elvis Presley was going to ever bring her to the United States? I mean, he would call every couple months. So, she had a right to date, and if she wanted to be sexually active with other guys, that's her right. But the fact that she created this story for marketing purposes, also to protect herself from the real knowledge, because Elvis never would have brought her over if she was having sex with guys. That's just how it was. The book goes on to say that she was certainly not a virgin on her wedding night. By the age of 15, she had allegedly had intercourse with Curry, Tom Stewart, and even Elvis himself. Now, it wasn't completed where you can get pregnant, that sort of completion, but that's splitting hairs. Priscilla not only had her insecurities about Elvis's other women to grapple with, but she was also haunted by his farewell warning to remain untouched, or he would know. That was enough to scare the heck out of me, she admitted later. Priscilla's life in Germany post-Elvis was not the lonely endurance test she later depicted it as it was. Wiesbaden at the time was considered the Hollywood of Germany. It was a beautiful resort town with big-name entertainment. Classmates of Priscilla's described their time at H.H. Arnold as a charmed existence. We were like little kings and queens living as teenagers in Europe after the war, skiing in the Alps and summering in queen crowns that Priscilla wore when she was young. Like I said, she was always made to feel special, entitled, better than everybody else, and that's how she really kind of comes off even nowadays. She has her fans, and her fans want her to be buried at Graceland so they can visit her. That's basically the reason why she wants to be buried at Graceland, not to be near the love of her life, because, she and Elvis split up, and she had lover after lover after lover after that, and didn't really protect his image or his name when he was alive, and only started to pretend to protect his image after she became financially rewarded for it. She got paid for everything. That special at Graceland in 1980-81, where she's talking and walking people through it, she was getting paid an enormous amount of money, basically because, that's what she was about. She was about that. Here's another picture of her as a queen. And like I said, this is not to say that Priscilla as a person doesn't deserve to be happy. Or, well, there's a picture of Cary Grant right there, taking a picture of Priscilla. So, for those that doubt that Cary Grant was honest and truthful, this is 1961 right here. And the picture that was taken of Curry and Priscilla was by, this picture was taken by Peter von Weschmar of Cary Grant taking a picture of Priscilla. Now, Peter von Weschmar was also another one of Priscilla's lovers back in 59, 60, 61, somewhere in that area. And for those of you that want to still defend Priscilla, remember Priscilla always attested that it was truthful what she said, which was that Cary Grant was cut out of the circle, that she had told Elvis that Cary tried to rape her, and Elvis was furious, and Cary Grant was never around again. We've discovered that that was all a lie. And why was it a lie? Because Priscilla has to protect her story. This is 1961, that picture that was of Cary taking a picture of Priscilla in the field. Not only was he there, which she was a lover of his, according to the test that is true, the voice analyzer stress test, but the guy taking the picture of Cary and Priscilla also was a lover of Priscilla Presley's. So what does that say about Priscilla? What can really be believed of truthfulness? So anyways, we're going to continue with part 7 tomorrow. We're going to talk more about the relationship with Tommy Stewart, who was her longtime boyfriend in high school and lover. And then we're also going to talk about some of the other lovers that Priscilla Presley had. That's not just one guy saying it. It's like literally friends and family are attesting to this. If you stumbled upon this video and you haven't seen parts 1 through 5 yet, just go and check my channel out. Click on Rare Elvis Photos, the name of it, and you will find the playlist where you can see parts 1 through 5. And like I said, stay tuned, because tomorrow we're going to do part 7. TCB, TLC, love you guys very much.
Oh, yes, you are.